What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Baseball Planet YouTube channel. We have some fun and a few moves to go over. One big one, two kind of small ones. First of all, we want to go over the Kodai Senga move to the New York Mets. Kodai Senga to the New York Mets, Japanese superstar on a 5-year, $75 million contract. If you aren't familiar with Kodai Senga, he was probably the biggest, Japanese player on the market in a while. Definitely one of the bigger pitchers on the market in a while. And the Mets got an absolute steal, in my opinion. 5 years, 75 mil. In my opinion, he was going to get around 6 years, over 100 mil with how the starting pitcher market's been. But hey, Mets get a nice contract, great fit for both sides.
Yeah, exactly what Bubba said. We thought he was going to get a lot more than he ended up getting. He only got 75 million, which is kind of crazy. It's like Taiwan Walker got 72, Jameson Tyone got 68, and it's pretty clear that Kodai Senga has a higher ceiling than both those guys. So compared to those two guys, Kodai Senga looks like he could be a number two in a rotation. Those guys are probably more number four at best, a three. But Senga is gonna basically replace Chris Bassett for the Mets. Uh, Compared to Chris Bassett, he probably has a lower floor but a higher ceiling. So the Mets went with a little bit of a risk there. However, they could afford to do that because they brought in Jose Quintana, they added Justin Verlander, and they have Max Scherzer already. So they could afford to take the risk on Senga over these next few years. But I really like the signing for the Mets. I know there was a bunch of teams in on Senga. He was really liked. There's some concern that he might not translate as well because he only has really two good pitches. So some don't think he'll be as effective as he was in Japan, but I think he'll be just fine here. At worst, he's probably a number four in a rotation. So I really like this for the Mets.
Japanese signing means Shohei Ohtani is coming to the Mets next year. Just want to point that out there. That's confirmed now. But nice contract for the Mets. Good number three. Potential to be a number two. uh, Fastball, tops out 102 miles an hour. And he's got a pitch that nobody's ever heard of or seen before, the ghost forkball. Probably the coolest pitch name in the history of baseball. So that's going to be an exciting thing to listen to Gary Cohen talk about a lot. Um, like Mike said, he's going to replace Bassett. Obviously, more of a risk than Bassett. You know what you're getting out of him. They went with more of a risk with Senga. Probably going to Bassett's obviously going to end up costing a little more. So maybe that played a factor into it with the age department as well. Bassett's 33 now, was looking for 4 or 5 years, just like Senga, who's 29. But obviously, there's going to be a risk involved with the Japanese thing. But I think he'll be fine. He pitched in the World Baseball Classic a few years ago.
Yeah, he pitched in
Struck
World
out
Baseball
five.
Classic. Yeah.
Yeah,
Apologies for
struck
interrupting,
out
but
five.
yeah,
All good. It's all good, baby. Struck out five out of six passes that he faced, and
including Giancarlo Stanton,
Buster
um,
Posey,
Buster Posey. There's a
not
few.
to
I
be confused with Buster Olney.
don't think anyone's going to confuse those two, but it's all good. Anyways, back to what AD was saying. Apologies, everybody.
I lost my train of thought, but yeah, let's get a nice replacement for Bass. Good number three, and look for them to add some more relievers. Maybe bring back Adam Ottavino, even though Robertson signing may have taken him out of that, and maybe a fourth outfielder. We'll see what happens there.
It's basically a Braden Danielle thing all over again, where he gets confused because he gets sidetracked by the fact that he fell for the road on a fake tweet or whatever the old tweet. Next signing we're going to be talking about is the Baseball Planet crew fan favorite T. Willie Trevor Williams heads to the Washington Nationals on a 2-year, $13 million contract. In my opinion, Williams was very good for the Mets last year. Did everything they asked him to do and more than that. I think the Nash got a nice player here. I wonder. I don't know if they're going to use him in the rotation or in the bullpen, but I guess we'll find out, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, as you were saying, Williams did great for the Mets. Made the Baez trade look a little better. considering we gave up Pete Crow. The Mets gave up Pete Crow Armstrong, who is looking like one of the better outfield prospects in baseball right now. And the Mets only had Baez for that half the season before he jetted to Detroit. But Trevor Williams made it look worthwhile. This year.
My bad.
Mike, you done? Or are you still going?
I'm still going.
I don't know. I'm sorry. This guy's throwing everybody off right
now. But this year Trevor Williams filled in a.
Get the giggles out. Get the giggles out.
We're good.
So Trevor Williams, he played a really big role on this Mets team. Very underrated. I don't think he was appreciated enough. That swingman role is really important for contending teams. That fill in for back end of the rotation when guys go down with an injury, or if he needs to fill in for a mop up role when guys just didn't have their best day. But he deserves to start in a rotation. And I think he's probably going to get that with the Nats. As he's going to probably be one of their best pitchers as of right now. But I honestly think they got him on a pretty good contract. That's he's probably worth a little more, but just because he wasn't a starter last year, he didn't get as much as you'd expect out of the other, like a full-time starter. But I really like this for the Nats. I thought they needed to add at least one veteran starter this offseason because they got a few young guys coming up with Mackenzie Gore and Cade Cavalli. So I really like this for the Nats, and I think it's a good move for them.
Yeah, I agree. 2 years, what was it, $13 million. Can't beat that for T. Willie. T. Willie's invaluable to any team. Anytime the Mets need him to do anything last year, whether it be, if they're up big or down big, eat 3 or 4 innings in relief, start on short rest. He did it all for him, and he did it really, really well. I'm happy he's going, even though I'm not happy to see him leave or go to a team in our division like Washington. It's nice to see him finally probably going to get a chance to start full time. Probably the ace of that staff already, as T. Willie is, by far one of the better pitchers on their teams, like Mike said. And that swingman role is not easy, like Mike said. Great point by that guy, as Bubba would say. And I'm looking forward to seeing Trevor Williams get the chance to start in the rotation full time next year.
Like AD just quoted me, great points by these guys. Overall, I really like the T. Willie to the Nats move for both sides. The reason I put on my swag glasses is because we're going to talk about one of the swaggiest players in baseball, Kevin Kiermaier. Take these off because I'm indoors. But yeah, one of the swaggiest players in baseball, Kevin Kiermaier, heading to the Toronto Blue Jays on a unspecified amount of money. But supposedly it is 1 year, I think Mike was telling me. 1 year, not sure how much money it is. Mike was saying might be around 8.5 mil. But overall, I mean, I think this is for the Blue Jays. I think this is an absolutely horrific move. They missed out on Nimmo. They traded Teoscar Hernandez. They missed out on Bellinger, and this was the guy they ended up getting, a guy that can't hit. And I mean, he's the lead in center field, but at the same time, they have a guy named George Springer out in center field. So I still do not understand what's going on here. But yeah, that's really all I have to say, man.
The Blue Jays had to add a bat after a left-handed bat. Their lineup is pretty righty heavy, so from the beginning of the offseason, it looked like they were going to add at least one lefty bat to that lineup. After trading Teoscar, it was pretty obvious it was going to be an outfielder. They were linked to a bunch of left-handed hitting outfielders like Brandon Nimmo. Obviously missed out on him, missed out on a few others. So one of the best options left on the market was Kevin Kiermaier. Even though he's not too great of a player, the outfield market was pretty thin this offseason, as you can see with how big Brandon Nimmo's market was and how big of a contract he ended up getting. But the Blue Jays needed to add someone like him to the roster, needed an outfielder. They probably didn't like what they saw in the trade market. I know one of the other options I could have saw them getting was Brian Reynolds, but apparently Pittsburgh's asking price on him is pretty big right now, and it doesn't seem like it's going to go down anytime soon. So they settled with Kiermaier. How that works out with them, Who knows? But he's used to the AL East. He's played in there for many, many years, so he knows the team's already there. He's faced them a lot, but it's not an ideal signing, but it's not terrible. George Springer, since he signed that contract with Toronto, he was expected to move to a corner within a few years of that deal, just because they don't want him to get injured there. We've already seen a few injuries with him last year, so they probably want to move Springer to one of the corner outfield positions long term. So it's an all right signing, nothing too big, but it's not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, elite defensive center fielder. 1 year, unspecified amount. I know Bubba mentioned we heard like $8.5 million. Not too much money. I can still see the Blue Jays maybe going after Michael Conforto if they want a right fielder and that power lefty, even though there's obviously some risk in that. Kevin Kiermaier is a solid player. Obviously, he's not the impact bat that Brandon Nimmo or even Cody Bellinger is, despite his horrific batting stance, horrific numbers last year. And he really frustrates me, but that's beside the point. But Kiermaier is going to get the job done in center. You don't really know if this guy's going to start every day on a 1 year deal worth in under $10 million. I can definitely see them going out and signing someone else. So we'll see what happens with that. Like Mike said, not an ideal fit, but he's if they did need a lefty, even though he's not a great hitter, I guess it's somebody that hits left-handed and that they can expel a Springer out of center field, move to right to try to avoid some injuries.
Yeah, I mean, great points by these guys. And I mean, honestly, like AD was saying, doesn't know if Kiermaier's gonna play every day since he's on a 1 year deal. I kind of view this Kiermaier signing as Kevin Pillar, Albert Almora signing that the Mets made a season ago. It kind of reminds me of that kind of signing. But we'll see what they do with Kiermaier, what he brings to the table and stuff like that. But to wrap this thing up, I kind of want to do a segment real quick. With no explanation, I want you guys to give me your prediction where Carlos Correa, Carlos Rodon, and Dansby Swanson are signing. I'll start off. I think Correa is going to the Giants. I think Rodon is going to the Red Sox, and I think Swanson is going to the Dodgers.
I got Correa, Giants, Rodon, Yankees, and Swanson, Cubs.
I'm going to agree with Mike with Swanson going to the Cubs. I think that the Twins are going to pull up an upset and bring back Correa, and I think that Rodon is going to go to the Yankees.
All right, guys. Thank you for the predictions. Thank you for the input, and thank you guys for watching this episode. We'll see you.
Thank you for asking us, Bubba. Thank you for asking us.
Of course. Thank you guys for watching this episode, and we hope you enjoyed it. Please